Hi, this is Emilee of Emilee's Paper Caper here for Stamp Play and Stamping Sunday, two open collaborations that encourage us to use our rubber stamps. Today I want to talk about acrylic blocks that we use with our acrylic stamps. My friends Renee and Kathy have both helped me with this video idea. Kathy recently gave me a set of acrylic blocks that she was not using, and they're in all different sizes. Really nice acrylic blocks. And Renee recently sent me a suggestion to do a video about the size of acrylic blocks and the pros and cons of using the right size for your project. This acrylic block is very thin. I've used it quite often and find that it's just not quite enough to keep a hold of when I'm stamping. So I really prefer a block that is thicker. I will still keep this because it travels easily and it's easy to grab, but it's better if you have a slightly thicker acrylic block, and some of them come with a little like concave section that kind of helps you grip. Not all of them have that though. This one is smooth on all four sides. When you have a tiny stamp like this one, it's a little butterfly, it's best to use a tiny acrylic block. When you use a block that is too big, what ends up happening is you end up getting ink on your acrylic block where it doesn't belong. And then when you stamp, potentially it rocks a little bit too much because that stamp is only in one small place, and it can really start to mess up your stamped image, and that ink is an accident waiting to happen. So it's much better to use a small acrylic block. I like this because I can hold on to it with my fingers and thumb and then get some precision stamping, inking the stamp with that index finger, and it just makes it much easier to handle. So if you have a small stamp, a small block is ideal. Too small of a block is also problematic. Let's get out one of these pretty flowers, and you see how that stamp is too big for the acrylic block. Now, can I stamp with it? Yeah, I can, but it's just not as crisp, and I'm losing some of the details on the edges. So it's best to use a block that is the right size for that stamp. You'll end up with a more precise, crisp, clean image. Here, let me do it across from that. So you can see this was on a block that was too small, and this is a block that's just right. Could I use it on this larger block? Yes, I could, but it's a little bit heavier. For some reason, I tend to get ink where it doesn't belong. I got it on the acrylic block, and when I go to stamp, it's just a little awkward. You can do it. I mean, that image is fine. It's just not ideal. One thing that is nice about these larger blocks is that you can stamp multiple images at the same time. When you have a large acrylic block like this, it's harder to get good inking by bringing the stamps or the block to your ink pad. I find it much better to take the ink pad and bring it to the stamps. I always stamp on an old phone book or an old coloring book for some extra padding. And we can get all these images at once. Now, a tip that Thelma gave, she uses like a door handle or one of those pop things that you put on the back of your phone. She uses that and it helps her to handle these larger blocks. I don't have one of those. I haven't tried it, but she highly recommends it. That was a big fat fail. When you have a big fat fail, just remember it's only paper, right? It's only paper. Let's just try it again. I think I probably need to stand up and really get some good pressure on across the stamp because I know I inked it well enough. So I'm going to stand up and try this again. I'm just going to make sure that I press nice and firmly on each of those images. And we're going to hope that we don't get another big fat fail. Better, much better. These are usable. I can color them in, fussy cut them, and create a floral arrangement in that beautiful vase. Let's talk scrapbooking and stamping borders or page titles. This is a nice, long acrylic block. I want to stamp a title page for a scrapbook. It's going to be a scrapbook about scrapbooking. So, the nice thing about these acrylic blocks is I can see through to know that I have the first letters of scrapbook ready to go. And it's going to say scrapbook about scrapbooking. So I'm going to need another one of these. You kind of have to think ahead about what words you need. So this one will say scrapbook, this one will say scrapbooking. Now for some reason, and I'm not sure why, the A is not, the ink is not transferring on the top of that A. When you're mounting your letters onto an acrylic block, you have to spell it backwards. Instead of spelling it left to right, you have to go right to left, and it helps me to turn the block over to see what it's going to look like when it's stamped. These will be cut out for the title page of my scrapbook, so it won't say scrapbook scrapbooking about, it'll say scrapbook about scrapbooking. And when I finish that title page, I'll come back and show it to you in a later video. Let me know if you have any questions about what I've done today. I would love to hear from you. If you have tips about acrylic blocks, we'd love to hear about them. Please leave a comment and tell us your best acrylic block tips so we can all learn from each other. Keep on scrapping, stamping, and paper crafting.